Hi there, it's Darlene. I hope you're doing well tonight. I just have a few public service announcements first. We have this announcement in from First Class Forex Funds, and it's kind of disturbing that they're saying that they're advising all traders to stop trading immediately as of 5 p.m. Eastern, Thursday, March 9th. So that would have been yesterday evening, due to conflicts with our broker. We are forced to transition to a new dedicated server. All account numbers will remain the same. And then they're taking legal action against 8cap, which is like the most popular broker out there right now for prop firms. The accounts will be on hold for maintenance as we migrate over, and will be up and running Sunday, March 12th by market open. Really? Because if they've just lost their broker, how can they be up and running in 3 days? Like, every prop firm needs a broker. So I have no idea what these guys are going to do. If you're trying to choose a prop firm right now, First Class Funding, I would stay way away from them. Like, don't go anywhere close to them. So, I mean, First Class Forex Funds, yeah. Also note that this weekend it's for Canada and the United States. There's a time change. It's daylight savings time. So don't forget that you will need to change the hours on your bot accordingly. Okay, because we'll be changing times. Also, you may have noticed I'm starting to put out some instructional, or I'm again putting out instructional videos. That's what this channel was mainly meant for. So if you see something with a white title, that just means it's more of an instructional thing. It's an instructional thing or something else. And the red ones are for infinity, because I thought red was a good color for the way I was feeling about infinity. So guess what Jonas finally did yesterday? Yes, Jonas finally did another webinar yesterday after nearly 3 weeks. So I've got some interesting stuff to tell you. So if you find any of this interesting or useful, or maybe I help save you some money or help you out in any way, please buy me a cup of coffee. The donation link is at the top of the comments and in the description. Okay? Oh, also, what I meant to say, and please like and subscribe. Sorry. What I meant to say, too, about the time change, I'm going to put up a website in the top of my description. It's called Baby Pips. It'll help you tell the different Forex times for those of you who want it. And with the color coding system thing, I'll do another video on how to use moving average and RSI, because I noticed that quite a few of you were asking about it in the training yesterday. So one thing that I noticed is, because I've always been wondering, right, how many people are actually in infinity? How much money did Jono make off of this? But also, like, how many people are still in there? Well, I just noticed something today, and that's on their Telegram channel, their announced only channel, is that there's only 500 users on there. And then at the webinar today, well, I think the last time he called out a number, it was 82. So yeah, I don't know. Doesn't seem to be a lot of active people in there. So I don't know if you remember, but I've mentioned before how it's really nasty being in infinity. I mean, you're in such a silo. You can't talk to anybody else, except you get the run around with support, but you have no communications with your fellow students. And as I say, all you've got is support, and they're not answering most of the time. So these people are really in separate silos. Then you get this webinar that Jonas has, and you can see the screen of it here. And he claims that he doesn't know how to use GoToWebinar well enough to use it properly. I think he does very well, because at some point in there, someone asked him, like, aren't you going to share your screen? And he's like, oh, no. And then he waffles about a bit. It's like, why not? Why can't you share your screen? Interesting. But what that also does, also what he does, is that he can see the questions coming in from the students, but they can't see each other's questions. And finally, one asked and said, isn't there some way that we can see each other's questions? And he dithered about and said, yeah, maybe we'll look into doing a Zoom call. Well, I can tell you why that will never happen. Because so often there was this huge, long, pregnant pause before he would say anything. What he's doing is he's reading this stuff beforehand, screening it as he goes, and then not giving out all the questions, because I'll bet he's got a lot of really interesting questions back there that of course he's not going to repeat to the group, and he doesn't want the group to see, like what's happening with my refund. Why is this not done for you anymore? Why is blah blah blah. So they don't want this getting around between the people that are in there. So again, even on this so-called webinar, that kind of implies that the audience is going to be able to see each other's questions and stuff like that. But no, it's nothing like that. They've got everybody into little silos, even here. And 3 weeks ago, the students asked if they could have a forum to help each other, like Discord or something like that. And Jonas gave this lame answer and said, "Oh well, yeah, we're thinking of doing something like that, like on the dashboard, having something like best set file of the week and giving a prize, and sharing it and stuff like that." And it's like, no, that's not what they asked for, Jonas. So that that's never going to happen. So they're still making very, very sure that everybody keeps separate and can't talk to each other. Check this out.
Sorry, just reading some questions that were not meant for to be read out loud. So if you buy a challenge pass, does that mean your subscription fees goes up? And does the challenge pass just make you pass the challenge, or is it managed by the team? No, so the challenge, the fee will not go up, no. Does the challenge pass or is it managed by the team? No, we're not going to manage it for you. We're not allowed to, like account management. We're not allowed to do that. But no, your subscription fee will not go up.
So that's how he keeps them separate. And that's, that big pause at the beginning. And then, trying to go on there. And it's, yeah. Then at the end, he says, no, we're not doing account management because they're not allowed to. Well, then why did they think they could before? Because before this was all done for you. And so they were going to pass your challenge for you, which is part of account management. That's part of the definition of it. And then what the account management usually does once they pass your challenge is they either say they're going to have someone look after your account for you and manually trade it, or they're going to put an EA on it, one or the other. And hey, guess what? These guys are putting an EA on it. So yeah, they're already doing account management. And Jonas is right. You're not allowed to. Jumpins. And then he's talking about that challenge pass, and that's where you supposedly get a manual trader to pass your challenge for you, and it costs an additional $997. Pardon me? Isn't that precisely what people signed up for? I mean, no wonder they're not getting that 3,000 person target that they had to get into Infinity, or they've just lost a lot of people. But thank goodness. Oh. But now everybody has to pay for it, if they want it. But the thing is, too, is if you can't pass your challenge yourself with the EA, then whatever makes you think that you would be able to keep on to it once it's live? So sure, you could chuck someone $1,000, have them pass your challenge for you, and then crash your account within a few days. Now you're out the cost of the challenge, and you're out the cost of the challenge pass. So that makes no sense. You got to keep doing demos until you got it perfect, and then go on. So it really makes sense for you to pass your own challenges now that everything's a big done for you project anyways, because the other way is not going to work. It's just going to line their pockets more, really. Anyways, next. So throughout this entire webinar, Jono has been saying, if somebody had too specific a question or whatever, or he couldn't answer it, he kept on saying, well, you should just call support. Yeah, you should go to support on that. Go to support. Go to support. And he, at the beginning, said that they just have a ton of new people going on staff. So they've got plenty of support people there. And people keep on asking, like, how do we get help? How do we get help? How do we get help? And he keeps saying, go to support, go to support, go to support. And he even said he has a friend, Darren, that just recently joined them just to answer questions on the bot. Sounds like he may be the only guy, though. Listen to this.
Oh, wow. Jerry, are you going to get help for Darren and support? There's a 3-week wait list. Jeez, I did not know that. Yeah, we'll get more people on them for sure.
Really? So there's a 3-week wait list before you can talk to anybody for support on your bot. Goodness, God help you if you have. I mean, that's 3 weeks of trading. What if you're in the middle of a challenge and you need some help right away? I can't even imagine. Like that's crazy. Yeah, that's not a workable situation at all. So I just want to take you back again to Project Limitless and go over again how that played out. There, people were sold by Jonas, with Trevor Carr leading. He was the marketer that time. This time it's Jono. And they were promised an EA that they just slap on a chart and would work for them. Set and forget, don't worry about it, ever. And then the first one that they came out with, it didn't work. And so then they would come out with another, and it wouldn't work either. Then they blamed it on the war in Ukraine. And then they put out another version and another version because each one of them didn't work. And this is what Jonas was doing while he was there. And then when the people in Project Limitless thought he was still there, he went and designed another bot called Hyperion. And he marketed that with his friend Dan Can, who is from Ministry of Freedom. He was one of the graduates from Ministry of Freedom. And so then they were selling Hyperion. So finally, then Jonas brought the Hyperion bot over to the Project Limitless people for them to try out. So guess who your back testers for this project have been? Yeah, those like half a dozen poor schmucks are still left in Project Limitless. And that didn't work either. And I've compared the set files between the Hyperion bot and the Infinity bot. They're almost identical. Hyperion is missing a few things that Infinity has that's nice. But like Hyperion was the precursor to Infinity. So what we're seeing is this trail of bots. This trail of bots that have never worked. And then the Infinity bot, we find out, is based on the moving average and the RSI. So put those two together, MARSI, Marcy. That's what he called one of the bots, one of the bots in Project Limitless. So he's still going on about that idea. And then he dares to blame it on a war. Or he blames it on that the people didn't try. There's still people trying there. They're backtesting for the Infinity people. And probably the Hyperion people that he got in through Dan Can. And they've all got like inadequate training. He promises training. The training never comes out. Just like here. It's nuts. But let's hear what he has to say.
happen. So, for example, let's say you started your funded account in February last year, or no, sorry, this year, right before or during like the time that the Ukraine Russia thing happened. You most likely would have lost your account because it was just impossible to trade during that time, and it was very like anything that someone said, it would cause price to just spike super hard, and that's something that the
Yeah.
bot cannot handle. Like if it goes too
That's
crazy.
Yet, in the webinar today, he said that the Infinity bot, remember the new and improved Marcy, in the training video, the students were complaining about how their bots weren't doing well. And Jonas was like, yeah, it's been a rough year so far. Wow. Well, that's the same excuse he used for the Ukraine war. So, what's going to be his next excuse as to why the next one doesn't work or the next one doesn't work? Because he's played this out before and it just keeps staying the same. Here we find out that Jonas is not a manual trader. He hates manual trading. He did not do well on it. Let's hear it.
I mean, did you study trading? Did you get into trading? Did you learn about prop
Yes.
firms or yeah.
Yes, I do have a friend who's really good at manual trading. He tried to teach me this for probably 6 months. And number one, I never really got it. But number two, it took so much time. So that was actually me and another friend. We were trying to learn it together. We would
Yeah.
sit from the market opening, like London opened, which was like 9 a.m. for me, until like 3 p.m. And we were literally too afraid to go to the bathroom in case we would see something happen, like, oh my God, we need to press buy, we need to press sell. And
Yeah.
it was just too hectic for me because, again, I don't really like working. And I definitely don't like just staring at my screen, waiting for
Yeah.
something that I didn't even understand what it was to happen. And then what would happen is I would press sell because all the signs were pointing towards a sell, and then price would just skyrocket and I would just lose. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I
Yeah.
just spent 6 hours. I finally placed an order and it just went to crap. So
Yeah.
manual trading for me never worked.
So, manual trading for him never worked. And yet, today in the class, he's talking about MA and RSI. Well, what were your indicators doing for you, Jonas? Why weren't you able to make a go of it in manual trading? And if you couldn't, then what makes you think that you know what to do with the settings for an EA? Because that's just a mathematical formula for what you were attempting to do at manual trading. It's not that easy, is it? And those EAs can't be left just running untended. They don't work that way. So he keeps saying he's lazy. Well, you know what? Lazy doesn't work with Forex. You have to know your manual trading, and then bots can be used as tools. That's all they are. So, and somebody in the webinar today asked if Jonas could give them videos on manual trading, and he said that he would. But he already said that he sucks at manual trading. Like, how is he going to do that? So he was against manual trading because you'd have to stare at a bot for, or stare at the charts for so long, and you were had a hard time taking your eyes off of it, and then you try and do something and it went wrong. Well, how else are you going to begin to understand the markets unless you watch them? You're not. And it's the same thing with watching your bot. I mean, and he's like, don't look at the bot, oh, that'll just get you all stressed out. Well, yeah, and it will, but you need to learn how to ride through that too. So, like, watching the bot is one way of learning what it's doing and how it's thinking, and also just watching the markets. Keep your fingers out of it though. Don't put in, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do anything with it. Just watch what it's doing. Then you will see where it finally goes. Does it go wrong or does it go well? And then you'll be able to see, well, why did that happen? And look at it like that. But if you're not learning that stuff, how can you be teaching others how to run a bot? And this is actually how I started learning this stuff. I started with a different bot sold by a different scammer, and he was selling the same dream: buy this bot and it will pass your challenge and it will then continue to run your account. Guess what it didn't do? No, yeah, exactly. That would be Axel Armani for pass your challenge, another big scammer. So once I bought his bot, and it's actually a very good bot, I still use it. So I bought it and then, took his minimal training, and it was nowhere near enough. And he's like, well, you just have to make your own set files. Okay, didn't know the first thing about it. So that's what I would do. I would just watch what the bot was doing, and I'd have it on a demo, so it didn't matter, and just watch it and see, okay, that didn't work well, and I see how that worked out, and you learn it that way. Plus, how can you even do back testing if you haven't got a clue where the bot is going wrong or what numbers need to be adjusted? You wouldn't.
So, did you try to take the prop firm challenges on your own first?
Yes, I did.
How did that
And,
go?
that was very stressful. That kind of reminded me about manual trading.
Yeah,
It wasn't the same at all, of course, but it was just in terms of like stress, because with these challenges, you kind of have to make unrealistic numbers to pass.
yeah.
So they want you to make between 6 and 10%,
Mm,
usually 8 to 10. And that is quite stressful because you have a very limited time to pass. You have 30 days, which in terms of
yeah,
trading days is more like 15 to 20. And
yeah,
on a 200K account, then you got to make around $20,000. And it could be quite stressful. So
yeah,
I actually failed most of them myself when I tried.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that was a big obstacle and it was very
Mm,
annoying. But
yeah.
luckily, Infinity, that is actually not going to be a problem.
Well, isn't that just a lovely sales pitch for Infinity? And it's not going to be a problem. Look at that smile. Yeah. Well, it certainly is a problem, you know. But I think one of my commenters on one of my videos said it the best down below where it's Ethical Business 2012. As of now, you do all of it, everything yourself. I wonder where the done for you or our trained team of professional traders has gone. I am clueless and a newbie. I would never have purchased without that service promised. It is basically the only selling point for the program. Equals professionals do it for you. You only set up some accounts, right? Nope. I will say is what like that in January 2023, but it obviously did not work. Obviously, Infinity ran into some problems with the prop firms, and without explanation, they dropped all services promised to customers and just sneaked in tutorial videos. And like as of February, if you do not follow the tutorials, bunch of learning and high risk for a newbie. Well, then bad luck. It would be at least honest if they promote it as a training course with a bot they provide. This would be more accurate and would allow for an educated buying decision. But it's done for you anything. But it is no done for you anything. It is more like you do everything. We give you a bot, but you have no idea how it works. You must learn. You must watch the finance market and daily news because the economy is dynamic and currently Forex is volatile. In other words, right now, it is super hard to pass the evaluation challenge, especially alone. It is a ton of work. It is risky. It requires time and learning. And with February's very shaky world markets, it was most of the time recommended not to trade. How on earth can you pass the evaluation steps within 4 weeks? Infinity left customers completely on their own devices after this January-February change, and support zero helpful, in fact, totally non-responsive. So now they're blaming February is very shaky world markets. Well, and it was. I mean, you had to watch yourself for sure. But they're blaming that then for, Infinity version 1 that you've got now for it not working. Last year at this time, it was the war in Ukraine. What's it going to be next, Jonas? So I hope you all, I'm wondering what you might think about my slight change in programming is to have some tutorial videos mixed in there. So I hate to just keep on belaboring a point, but I will bring you up-to-date news. I plan on doing a mixture of it. What are your thoughts? Maybe you could leave a comment. Other than that, you have a lovely evening. Darlene out.